And welcome back to another episode of the Double Doink Podcast. My name is Brendan Deek. Thanks so much for tuning in today, everybody. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. You can also rate the podcast and review the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. It would also be greatly appreciated. We're talking strictly Philadelphia Eagles today. Who else to do it with? And my friend, I missed him. He's got a fresh lid on. Thomas Petersen. Thomas, my man, how are your holidays? How is 2023 treating you? Give me the lowdown.
Actually, holidays were nice. Kind of a working Christmas. I worked basically every day throughout Christmas and New Year's, but it was nice. Got yeah, and got some family time in there. That was nice. New Year's started off shitty in the most literal way. I had gastroenteritis. My girlfriend then had gastroenteritis, and we should have been on a trip, like a hotel wellness spa kind of trip. So that whole thing got canceled. That's the first thing, 1st of January, that got canceled. So actually the year started out pretty terribly. Then I watched Eagles Saints game, and I fell.
So that didn't help
flat.
your mood. That didn't help your stomach gut. And
I don't know what it was. I don't know. I don't know if I vomited more before or after, but I mean, we'll talk less about that. So yeah, kind of shitty start to the new year, but other than that, yeah, it's doing pretty good.
So what did you say? Gastronitis? Can you repeat that for me?
Gastroenteritis, like stomach bug.
Okay, so just a lot of shitting and puking.
Yeah, basically.
That's nice.
That's what it is.
That's a really shitty. Yeah, like metaphorically speaking, really shitty.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of accurate, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, we are 11 days into 2023. It still feels weird. I still don't feel like we're in a new year. I feel like since 2020, it's just been one big year. The last 2.5, 3 years.
The concept of years is kind of gone.
Yeah, it's insane now. It feels like COVID made time go faster. Like it made like every second be like a second and a half. Like I still don't feel like we're in 2023. Anyways, it's beside the point. But that's my take.
I guess
that's my take of 2023.
Yeah.
Okay. Philadelphia Eagles, Thomas. They have clinched the number 1 seed. They have clinched the NFC East. They have a bye through the first round of the playoffs. They defeated the New York Giants. What was the final score of that game?
20. You're putting me on a spot here. 26-19.
Eagles versus Giants. I completely forgot the final score of that game. 22-16.
Eagles 22-16. Okay. Yeah.
22-16. So Elliott had what? How many field goals did he have? 5? Yeah, 5 field goals for Jake Elliott. The red zone
NFC Player of the Week.
Yeah, NFC Player of the Week. That's now 9 of 18 weeks that the Eagles have had a Player of the Week. It's pretty spectacular.
That's every second game.
Yep. 50% hit rate, 50% hit rate right there, baby. Okay, before we kind of just talk about the overall look of the playoffs, we're going to be talking about some coordinator interviews because the Eagles have both of their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator getting interest from around the league for vacant head coaching jobs. We're going to be doing a award show. So regular season is over. We're going to be giving out some awards for the Eagles regular season. Before we do that, let's just put a bow on this New York Giants game. Thomas, is there anything that's kind of lingering in the back of that big old brain of yours that you want to get off from the New York Giants game?
It was very, very clear and obvious that the Eagles did not want Jalen Hurts to run. Like he was specifically told not to run the ball in this game, and it severely limited the offense. But then also kind of the worrying thing about it is that he was forced to run the ball because the offensive line played as shitty as they did. Like Wink Martindale made Shane Steichen look like a damn fool because he kept throwing blitzes at him and kept throwing pressure at him where that they had nothing. They had no answer for it. They had no quick concepts that were beating the Giants' defense. The Giants basically got into that game thinking like they want to hit Jalen Hurts. That was their main target. That's what they wanted, and they got a. I'm glad they called the person the foul off in the passer on him after he got hit like 1.5 seconds after he released the ball in one play, like a backside blitz. They absolutely wanted to hit Jalen Hurts.
It's the only thing Wink Martindale knows. Like he doesn't know how to play cover 2. It's in his DNA.
He left everything open on the back end there. But the worrying thing about it was that Eagles had no answers for it. The running backs were shitty in pass protection. Jack Driscoll looked lost. Joe Mailata looked lost. The offensive line shuffled. Didn't know who to pick up. Like every second play when you're watching all 22 of it, every second play, Hurts had to either like sporadically throw the ball away or had to panic out the pocket and get rid of the ball. So that was kind of shitty because the idea of this game was basically just like easy concepts, some RPO that where Hurts didn't have the option to run the ball himself. You could clearly tell. So, and that being said, there were so many guys open on the skill position players there, and Hurts didn't have time. Simple as that, and that was frustrating to see afterwards.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think the biggest, if you're going to like put like a big picture take on the offense, I think you nailed the two things. One, I think the running back protection was bad. It's been kind of a thing all year with the Eagles and blitzing Jalen Hurts. Like there was a stretch kind of in the middle of the season where blitzing Jalen Hurts was how you're going to get after him and how you're going to kind of cause some ruckus on the Eagles offense. He was able to kind of figure it out later on in the year, and it wasn't too much of a problem. But that I think that's a problem if the Eagles running backs can't pick up blitz protection. And Jack Driscoll's the big name here going into this playoffs. Like Lane Johnson, of course, has another week of rest, and that was huge for the Eagles to clinch again the number one seed in the NFC East. If Lane Johnson can't go, it's a problem in my opinion. Like it's the story to monitor heading into the playoffs.
Yeah. They're extremely vulnerable without Lane Johnson.
So what would you run out Jack Driscoll again at right tackle, or do you move Jordan Mailata to right tackle and put Andre Dillard left tackle? Because I don't think they can run out Jack Driscoll again at right tackle here. Like look, I like Jack Driscoll more than the next guy. I actually thought he was going to win the starting guard job in training camp. He's taken a step back this year. That ankle injury that he suffered at the end of last year, it's been a problem since then, and he doesn't look like the same guy. He's not developed like all the other offensive linemen have. So if I'm the Eagles, I'm mixing it up here. Unless Jordan Mailata is not comfortable moving to right tackle, but we've seen him do it before. It's something he can do, right? So,
but also they're not worried about him enough to put like a chip blocking tight end over there or have the running back released to that side. Or like they run the same offense that they did with Lane Johnson in the lineup without really giving any second thought to assisting Jack Driscoll on the right side. So they clearly believe that he is capable of doing it.
Do you think this game would have changed their mind?
It was so bad to a point where I think that Stoutland had a bone to pick with each and every one of the offensive linemen.
Okay.
And that includes Jack Driscoll, but I think it was like Jordan Mailata was equally bad in this game. And same goes with Jason Kelce. He sucked in this game too. I mean, basically the entire offensive line was one massive question mark, and I don't know why. I don't know if they were shocked about how the blitzes were coming at him,
and they shouldn't have been shocked. Like the Giants,
they shouldn't have been shocked.
Yeah. They were obviously going to go at Jalen Hurts. Like they weren't going to sit back and let them just throw the ball around. Like what's going to happen? So the surprise shouldn't have been a factor in this. I don't I was going to bring it up later on in the episode, but I'm happy you brought up the right tackle stuff now. It's something that I can't get off my mind, and it's something that I think that's the biggest problem with this team heading into the playoffs here is the right tackle position, because you're not just losing your starting right tackle, you're losing Lane Johnson, who is going to be a first team All Pro this year, even with missing a couple games. So it derails, and I don't know the record now of it, but there was like a stat where like the Eagles with and without Lane Johnson, like the record is like a drastic difference here. So do you think he plays? I know you're not a doctor, but do you think he's good to go?
Lane Johnson?
I have serious doubts he's going to be able to play, but
I think he's going to give it a go. I think we're going to see him to start the divisional game. We'll see how long it lasts. If it's a quarter, a series, a game, we'll see. Okay. I think he's going to get enough. He's going to get enough time now to where swelling is going to be. It's going to be. They're going to have a lot of time to deal with that. Probably going to have an intra-articular shot. See how long that can hold up And
he's going to be on a lot of meds. That's for sure. If he's going to be playing, they're going to be.
yeah,
He's going to be medicated up. That's for sure. Okay. Anything else from the Giants game? The only thing I really have to say, like in just big picture mode from this game, is they kind of did what they needed to do. Like if you just look at it, like there's not much else to take away. Like the Eagles,
no. From a macro perspective, they did what they had to do.
yeah, they weren't able to run the red zone offense because a lot of what they do on the red zone is Jalen Hurts running the football. They made like you said, they made a big kind of emphasis not to have Jalen Hurts run the football. So that part of their offense was missing, and it showed in the red zone. Right, Jake Elliott kicked 5 field goals. They only had 1 touchdown. So I think that's going to be fixed in playoff time. Like you can't not have Jalen Hurts run the ball in playoffs. He's got to go. It's the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
you 100%. You're giving
goal.
it all. There's no waiting for another week. So he's going to be running the football. That's going to be a part of the offense in the divisional round, 100%. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think they did their job. Like it was 22-16. You had that crazy throw at the end to Kenny Galladay made an unbelievable catch. I don't know what Darius Slay else could have done on that play. So I don't really think there's much to kind of be worried about on both sides of the ball, except for the right tackle position and potentially like teams blitzing Jalen Hurts a lot. That's kind of the only worrisome. And they did what they had to do. They went into the game needing to clinch the number 1 seed and needing to clinch the NFC East. They accomplished that. They move on. And last thing on the game, remember what happened in 2017? Like that remember when they clinched against the Raiders? Was it Christmas Day, I think, right? It was the most. I don't know which game was more least exciting for a number 1 seed clinching, but you don't really.
The Raiders game had a bonkers ending.
Yeah, you had
the turnover.
Yeah, you had that kind of crazy at the end, but the game in general was boring, and they didn't look very good in that game. So like, I think the need to be like hot going into the playoffs for a number 1 seed is very overblown. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like very overblown. And basically it doesn't really matter. Like you said, from a macro perspective, they did exactly what they had to do. You can always dive into it, and from one game, say like something that's been worrying and not. I think overall, I think they're going to be ready come game time in the divisional game. One thing I will say is a little bit of worrying. I don't think it's too big of a deal. But like I noticed this since week 10, Darius Slay has given up a passer rating of 90 plus in 8 of 9 games, and he's given up a passer rating of 100 plus in 7 of 9 games.
Yeah,
So
he kind of matches the eye test too. Like he doesn't look like he's
right.
playing.
I mean, he was on fire the first 9 weeks, and it's just kind of cooled down for him since. And even in this game, like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had a really good comeback in this game. I mean, he broke up a couple passes, had tight coverage all throughout, made a couple tackles in the running game as well. So, like a super important game. Like that last 2-point conversion attempt that the Giants had, guy wide open in the end zone. Darius Slay fucked up his flat coverage, and Chauncey followed it all the way to the opposite side of the field and broke up the pass. So really, it was nice to see him back, and I like to see how they mixed him in the slot there, the slot cornerback, and then had Reed Blankenship, who just continues to show up, play safety.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson played 100% of the snaps in his first game back from a lacerated kidney.
Right,
that's toughness right there, man. He was great. Reed Blankenship again, like looks like he could start in this league going forward. So it's really cool to see him kind of shine when playing time comes his way. Yeah, I don't really have much else. You are right about the Darius Slay thing. There is something there a little bit, but I think this stuff can be figured out over the next.
100%. Like it's also just it's one of those games where you watch that and you look up the stats and like, oh, that's kind of thing. But it's not like it's not something that's super worrying to I'll say.
It's nice when you have James Bradbury on the other side too, right?
Jeez, is he like? We're going to do a podcast not too long from now, and we're going to talk about the guys like who they're going to be bringing back and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to this offseason. I've already like started to peek into the free agency stuff, peek into the draft stuff, and it's not something that I'm looking forward to because there's going to be a lot of change.
James Bradbury is a guy that, man, I'll make him a priority.
You would make him a priority?
Yeah. Man, is he good.
I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Javon
Oh yeah,
Hargrave
those
are
two.
the priorities.
Those
I
two are
don't.
my guys.
I think James Bradbury is as good as gone. To be honest,
I think he's going to be too. He's going to be too expensive to keep. But man, I would give up. There's a lot of guys that I would let go before James Bradbury. We'll get to all of that.
Yeah, we have plenty of time to discuss that. Okay. While my camera recenters and I'm a little blurry here, we're going to continue going. So the NFC playoff picture is set. Any kind of first thoughts from the matchups? Any kind of like indications of who they're going to play? Any juicy kind of takes you have from the NFC playoff picture?
They're probably going to play the Cowboys, right?
You think it's Dallas? Okay, I think they're playing the New York Giants.
Okay,
I think they're hosting the New York Giants.
That's going to be a close game at least.
I think the Vikings are going down.
Yeah,
I think the Giants are just as good. I think they're playing the Giants. I think the Giants did a good thing by resting their starters. They're going to be fresh going into this game.
True.
Vegas spread's 3, and it's in Minnesota. Vegas is telling you that these teams are very even. So,
yeah, and I mean, what I'd like to see is a matchup between Geno Smith and Jalen Hurts. That's personally what I would like to see, just from
that would
football angle.
I think that would be the dream. If you're the Eagles, I think you want to play the Seahawks.
Yeah, one thing is that what
would you have Seattle or the Giants if you're the Eagles?
I think I'd rather go up against the Giants, to be honest. I think Geno Smith can do more damage to the Eagles defense than Daniel Jones can. And I just think like Seattle is always a weird team to me. Always like from a fan perspective, I always kind of want to steer clear of them because I never really know what I'm going to get. DK Metcalf has his way often when like he had his way when he played in Philly last time. I mean, that was a nightmare game.
Yeah,
I just think the Eagles match up better to the New York Giants when the Eagles are playing full go. But then again, I mean, Wink Martindale just had his way with Shane Steichen. So
yeah, I think there's a couple ways to look at it because this season already beating a team 3 times in 1 year is often very hard and it's not very easy. But again, the one game that the Giants didn't play all their guys, so it's you can maybe throw that kind of game away. I don't think Seattle's very good at all right now. They're not playing very well. Like they snuck into the playoffs. Like I think the Lions and Packers were both better teams than the Seattle Seahawks and they got in the play and the Seattle got in the playoffs instead of those 2 teams. So I think Seattle kind of got lucky there. But I agree. I think the right answer is probably the Giants. But again, it's kind of a toss up. Okay, let me throw this question your way. If you were to rank the opponents that you would want to see from least likely to see number 1, most like who you want, or not likely, who you would least want to see number 1, and then most want to see number 4, rank the 4. So you got Dallas, Tampa, Seattle, New York Giants. Those are the 4 possible opponents.
Is Tampa a possible opponent?
Yeah, it is what's.
Oh yeah, if 7-5 lose, yeah, okay. So I'd most likely want to play. I want to play Giants, then I want to play the Bucks.
So you would have the
Seahawks and then Cowboys.
You have the Bucks over the Seahawks? You would rather play
I'd rather play the Bucks. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I think Tom Brady. There's something about Brady, man. I don't know if I want Brady rolling into the lake.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm probably gonna be struck by lightning from this, but Tom Brady doesn't scare me. The Bucks don't scare me. Like,
wow, you are pissing off the football gods right now from this
podcast. I mean, I'm gonna take my chance. I'd like to see Jalen Hurts get against the Bucks and get his revenge. For as good as he's been all year, I'm super confident that he can tear apart the Bucks defense this year.
I think Dallas is like I don't want to see anything to do with Dallas.
No, I don't want anything to do with Dallas.
I'll take Dallas to the NFC Championship game, but like, come on, I don't want
nothing to do with them.
I don't want anything to do with them. Like this is just like I think there's a lot of kind of like Eagles fans can be. You can say Dallas is a good team if you're an Eagles fan. Like you're allowed to, right? Like as Eagles fans, and Dallas is a very good football team. Dak Prescott didn't play very well in Week 18, and he's kind of thrown a lot of interceptions. So I do think there's maybe some turnovers that can be had in that game. But just Dak is just shredded to Jonathan Gannon. Like he is owned Jonathan Gannon since he's kind of been a quarterback at Dallas, and Gannon's been the defensive coordinator in Philly. So it's not the team I'd want to play in the division round. An NFC Championship game, fire me up, of course, because there's 2 teams left, so you're gonna have to pick your poison at that point. But in the division round, no. I think it's gonna be the Giants. I'm fairly confident that it's gonna be New York Giants.
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay, anything else on the team that you want to kind of get off your chest before we go into the playoffs?
No, you're good.
So just quickly, I had a couple just notes just generically on the team itself, kind of heading into the playoffs. I do want to kind of give the team some love a little bit here, just from some stats that I dug up. So season's over, right? 18 games is in the books here. And the Philadelphia Eagles, just as a team, so it's from DVOA and EPA per play stats. The Eagles finished 3rd in team DVOA, 3rd in offensive DVOA, and 6th in defensive DVOA. Now on the EPA per play side, they finished 3rd in offensive EPA per play and 4th in defensive EPA per play. So no matter how you look at it, basically from those 2 efficiency stats, they were the top 5 basically efficient offense, and they were a top 5 efficient defense in the NFL. It's I didn't see this coming. Like, I thought the Eagles were going to be good, but I didn't think they were going to be this efficient and this good.
No, it's been scary good, and I think it all goes back to Jalen Hurts. Yeah. It basically, when we saw how bottom of the league terrible the Eagles offense looked with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, everything just pointed in the direction of just how good Jalen Hurts has been and how he's making this offense run. Pretty much the best offense in the league.
Yeah,
making it work like that. Yeah.
So, and then one more thing, just on those stats, they were 1st in pass defense EPA per play, and 1st in pass defense DVOA. I was kind of a little surprised by that.
Yeah,
they had the most efficient pass defense in the NFL by those 2 metrics. So I think that's kind of interesting. And they were 1st in rush offense EPA per play and DVOA, and they were double the 2nd place team.
Is it surprising though, and like considering pass plays also include like sacks?
Yeah, that's a good point. They did lead the league in sacks.
So they give the opposing offenses a shit ton of minus yards on pass plays because they sack the quarterback more than anyone.
That's a good point. I didn't think of the sack. I was kind of just thinking from like the defensive back, and I guess my eyes test, I guess, doesn't match them being the best pass defense in the NFL.
No, I was pretty surprised by that as well. But I mean, if you take away all the sacks into consideration there and then apply them to it, makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. So they were the 1st in rush offense EPA per play, and they were double the 2nd place Baltimore Ravens. So the Baltimore Ravens were 0.34 EPA per rush. The Eagles were 0.72. So the Eagles were double the more efficient than the 2nd place run team. So I think the Eagles should go back to running the damn football in the playoffs. That's kind of my take on this. And we're gonna be probably doing definitely doing a preview before the game of whoever they're playing. We'll kind of match up the defense, offense, and whatnot of the team they're playing. But I do think a big takeaway over the last couple of weeks is they need to kind of go back to the week 1 to week 13 offense and maybe not try to throw the ball. Maybe not trying to put too much in Jalen Hurts' hands. Jalen Hurts has been awesome and he can handle it, but I do think the run offense, when it's clicking, that's when the Eagles are at their best.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think every Eagles fan would agree.
Yeah. Run the damn football, baby. Eagles fans love that term. Okay. Yep. Before we're going to be talking some offense, we're going to be talking the defense and offensive coordinator of the Eagles, Jonathan Gannon and Steichen getting interviews. Before we do that, end the old year with a new you and closes that will give you the confidence to tackle the 2023 resolutions. Thanks to our sponsor, True Classic, you'll have everything you need to hit the gym, take it slow, or treat yourself to something nice. Let's get snatched in 2023, daddies. I'm talking to you. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men look great in their tees, and now you can save big while you do so. For a limited time only, get 25% off with code DOINK at trueclassic.com. Amongst all men's t-shirts are designed to look good to certain body types. That's why True Classic's teams design t-shirts to make fellas of all sizes out there feel confident in their clothing. These tees taper off towards the bottom, but they will fit tight around the chest and shoulders. This is a desirable look that can be achieved by every body type. Get 25% off at True Classic with code DOINK. That's 25% off with code DOINK plus free shipping included on purchases over $100. New year, new me, and new tees thanks to True Classic. Okay, Mr. Thomas Petersen. Shane Steichen has gotten head coaching interviews requests from the Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, and Carolina Panthers. Defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon has gotten requested to be interviewed by the Houston Texans.
Shocker.
Are both gone? Is one gone? Or zero gone? Give me what you're thinking right now.
Jonathan Gannon is probably going to the Texans, right?
You
and
think
he
so?
Was he was that close to getting the job last year.
But I think that's maybe why he's not going to get it this year, if that makes sense. I'm like, why didn't they hire him the first time around? You know,
remember the whole scandal that happened at that point with Miami Dolphins and how they were how like the entire head coaching search was like blatantly obvious affected by race. And suddenly, out of nowhere, after Jonathan Gannon had been the massive favorite to land the Texas job, they hire that Lowy instead. Isn't that how his name is? Lowy
Smith.
Lovie Smith, exactly. and then they fire him after the first season.
Yeah.
Again, they fire another head coach after the first season. It's so incredibly stupid how they continue to fire coach after coach. And to me, you just get the nasty suspicion that they always wanted to hire Jonathan Gannon. And if they felt back,
they love Josh McCown for some reason,
or Josh McCown. Either like it was super weird. And then out of nowhere came Lovey, and it just paints a nasty picture of what they actually wanted to do in the first place, and maybe felt backed into a corner that they had to make another decision. And yeah. The firing of Lovie Smith was expectable and tasteless, and I could see Jonathan Gannon going back there and then getting the job this time around.
I don't think Jonathan Gannon is going to get the Houston Texans job. I think they're going to swing bigger. They're requested to interview Sean Payton. I think the Sean Payton one's really interesting there because if you're Sean Payton, I think that's the most enticing, most attractive job for him. The head coaching jobs are really lame this year too. Like what a Carolina Panthers, I think, is the best job out there right now.
Probably.
They have the most talent. They don't have the quarterback set up, but they've got the most talent on the roster. So I think that's the best.
Then again, Sean Payton said that the thing he values the most is not he doesn't necessarily want a quarterback. He's not going to get that with the Texans anyway. But what he values most is ownership. And I just don't think how you can sell the Texans who just fired their coaches
yeah, that's true.
First year coaches 2 times in a row, and then say, "Hey, Sean Payton, come over here. We have great ownership." Like, no, you don't.
They've got awful. Yeah, I don't trust the organization.
The organization's shitty. I mean, why would he get over there?
So yeah, I have a hard time feeling like seeing like Jonathan Gannon going back and being the Houston Texans head coach after kind of getting shunned last year. It could happen.
I just think no coaching candidate with respect for himself would want to work for Nick Caserio.
No, for sure. Yeah, I don't even know how he still has a job. He's about to hire his third head coach in 4 seasons. It's pretty spectacular.
And 2 one and done coaches. I mean, makes no sense.
So I don't think Jonathan Gannon is going to go. I do think Shane Steichen is going to get a job.
Oh, really?
I do. I think Shane Steichen's good as gone.
For all the crap that we've given Jonathan Gannon, I'll probably say that he's the one most deserving of it, simply because I think Jalen Hurts has bailed out Shane Steichen more than we probably recognize.
So the thing with Gannon that I do think is attractive to other teams is he can bring with him like a wicked staff. Like Jonathan Gannon could basically like take the whole Eagles roster or all the Eagles coaches, all the Colts coaches. He's been around. He has so many connections through the league.
Right.
Where I do think if Jonathan, like that's what entices you to hire Jonathan Gannon. Like I can take with like if Jonathan Gannon gets hired, I'm pretty sure Brian Johnson's going with him as an offensive coordinator, who's the Eagles quarterbacks coach. So I think that's worrisome as well. Like Jonathan Gannon can bring with him a star-studded staff. So I do think that's what's kind of enticing if you're going to hire Jonathan Gannon. You're not hiring Jonathan Gannon for his defensive abilities. You're hiring him for the staff he can bring.
He's
and like
also
his
super
leadership.
charismatic, and
Yeah, like his leadership abilities, how he handles the players. It seems like the players like him a lot, and then they respect him. So you're not hiring him for his defensive scheme whatsoever. But
no,
I think that's what you're getting with Jonathan Gannon. I think the Shane Steichen just screams head coaching candidate. So he's 37 years old. His background is with quarterbacks, which he was a quarterback coach in LA or with the San Diego Chargers for a while from 2016 to 2019. Philip Rivers, I was listening to a podcast the other day. Philip Rivers said that Shane Steichen is basically a quarterback whisperer, and he was one of the best offensive coaches that he's been with. Philip Rivers also said that Shane Steichen will kill an interview. So if Shane Steichen was to interview, he will do a very good job there. And like, just take a look at the job. Like, I do agree with you that Jalen Hurts has probably bailed out Steichen in some ways with his running ability and whatnot. But like, just take a look at kind of the last, like, say 28 games with this team, right? Like, after the Tampa Bay Bucks game, I think you can maybe even go to the Las Vegas Raiders game last year. They completely whipped up a new offense in Philadelphia, and that's enticing the teams, right? Like, Shane Steichen isn't from this background. Like,
no.
they had to kind of dial up this offense on their own. Him and Nick Sirianni, right? They had to go look at college teams. They had to go look at Baltimore Ravens, like teams like that ran this similar style offense. They had to dial up their own version of it in the middle of the season. So I do think that's enticing the teams.
Yeah, probably, and also like quarterback success and offensive success usually has its effect on the coaching staff, regardless of who's responsible for it. Like, no matter how much it is Nick Sirianni, how much it's Jalen Hurts, it's always going to reflect on the stats. And like I think you said, like working with a quarterback, and like we saw with Brian Dable and the strides that Josh Allen took under him. I mean, you can look at the same thing with Jalen Hurts, and you could I mean, if there's a chance that Shane Steichen can work some magic there on another quarterback in the league, teams are going to want that.
And like another thing is too, he's called plays in Philly. He also called plays in San Diego in 2019 when Ken wasn't and got fired. So he's got that under his belt. He just, in my opinion, like he just screams like top of the list candidate for these teams that want an offensive kind of mind. And he's already got 3 interviews: Colts, Texans, and Panthers. I think he's going to get the Carolina Panthers head coaching job. I think Shane Steichen will be the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers.
Man, I'm hoping Steve Wilkes gets to keep that job, but we'll see.
He deserves it. But
yeah, I think he does.
There's just a bad track record of teams keeping like interim coaches, right? Like, and it's kind of it just never really worked out. And I know it's not fair to Steve Wilkes, it's not fair to whoever's coming in next, but it has never worked out for teams kind of holding on to interim head coaches. So I just do think
sure.
That's a problem.
I mean, they got like Jeff Saturday was naturally like surprised, not a great interim head coach, but Steve Wilkes actually elevated the Panthers and made them competitive when they were. I mean, they were basically eliminated halfway through the season. I mean, you looked at that team, you said, no way. And then in comes Sam Darnold, and you're not gonna pinpoint it on him that he suddenly revived the Panther season. I mean, I think Steve Wilkes has a pretty solid case there, but
for sure.
We'll see. You're right.
Okay.
He doesn't have a good track record, no.
If they were to leave, so let's say the Eagles do lose either. Let's go with both. Okay, we'll just go both sides of the coin here. If they were to lose Jonathan Gannon as defensive coordinator, how do you think the Eagles should approach replacing him?
Jonathan Gannon. I mean, Vic Fangio would make sense simply from the perspective that he's been around the team in the offseason and he's seen the talent on the team, and he's probably had his his share of thoughts on how the defense should be run. I mean, there's all the speculation that maybe he's going to join Sean Payton's staff wherever he's going to go. But I mean, if he's going to work for Sean Payton on a team that he not necessarily haven't been on, or he's going to you can probably pry him away and make him come to a team that he's been working with this offseason. And considering the insane talent that the Eagles have on defense, and if you can retain some of the players and kind of make that attractive for a guy like Vic Fangio, I think that makes sense. If not for Fangio, I think it's going to be an in-house promotion. Probably look for the DBs, room.
Denard Wilson is probably the guy.
I think Denard is probably going to be the guy promoted then.
So Denard Wilson has a kind of an extensive background in the NFL. He was a pro scout with the Bears. 2008 to 2011. Defensive quality coach for the Rams in 2012 to 2014. Then defensive backs coach in 2015, 2016. Defensive back coach with the Jets in 2017, 2018. Then passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach from 2019 to 2020. Then Nick Sirianni prized him away from New York, comes into Philly. He is a defensive backs coach in 2021, 2022. And then this year, he was also added the passing game coordinator title to his resume. So he kind of just screams future defensive coordinator from his resume. So I do think that's definitely an option. If Shane Steichen leaves, I do think there's an potential that they could use Denard Wilson as defensive coordinator wherever Shane Steichen goes. Like, that's the thing here too, is like we have to, if one of these guys get the job, they're going to start prying away our staff, right? So there's a lot.
But if somebody can get a coordinator staff there, like it's a coordinator promotion within the same team, I think it's also going to be enticing to stay around.
100%. And then if Shane Steichen leaves, how would you replace him?
I think we both agree on who would replace him then.
It's Brian Johnson. You give him
Brian Johnson.
100%. Brian Johnson's the guy. Brian Johnson has a really interesting background. Like he's worked at Utah. He's worked at Mississippi State. He's worked at Houston University. He worked at Florida and now worked at Philly. Like that, I love that resume right there. 4 colleges, worked under Sirianni for a couple of years, and Jalen Hurts. Like that to me just screams like potential stud offensive play caller and offensive mind, in my opinion. I love guys who have been in so many different types of offenses, especially those college offenses, right? Like how much data did they take in? How many different offenses they have to learn? I think Brian Johnson is a star in the making, and I would 100% hire him. I won't even look anywhere else. If Shane Steichen goes, you give Brian Johnson the job right away.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
If you're going to put anything on anybody of Jalen Hurts' development, Brian Johnson.
100%. I agree. Okay. Before we get out of here, we have a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, 6 awards, and I guess 1 is kind of an award. I'm gonna hold the kind of award to the very end, and I think you know which one I'm talking about there. But we're gonna hand out some awards. Eagles regular season officially over. 14-3, first seed in the NFC, first seed in the NFC East. Let's hand out some awards, Thomas. Let's start with hold up. Actually, I got here. Who was your favorite player this season in Philly?
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown. Okay.
Without a single question, the most fun player I've seen play for the Eagles in a long time. Whenever the ball is thrown his direction, I expect him to make the catch. Doesn't matter where it's thrown, unless it's Gardner Minshew, because apparently he can't hit the wingspan of or the catch radius of AJ Brown. But other than that, you just put him in the area, he's gonna make it. Probably he's gonna come down with it.
AJ Brown is definitely probably the right choice here. I went with Devonta Smith just to kind of mix it up because I knew you were going with AJ Brown.
You can say the same thing about him though. No matter where you throw it, he's probably going to come down with it.
I'm doing these highlight videos for most of the offensive players. I'm going to be rolling them out over the next 10 days. I've done AJ Brown and then I did Devonta Smith. Going through Devonta Smith's season, man, holy shit!
Yeah,
he was so active. It was so hard because I'm trying to make these videos 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Right.
It was so hard to compact 2 minutes and 20 seconds of Devonta Smith. He had
it's gonna be super short clips.
So many first down catches. Like he was constantly moving the sticks for this team. And some spectacular catches were mixed in there. Like he was a very hard guy to squeeze in 2 minutes and 20 seconds of highlights. I'm sure I could have done the same thing with AJ Brown. I just did AJ Brown's 11 touchdowns. I thought that was easier. But man, Devonta Smith was fun this year. 9th in reception, 9th in yards, 11th in receptions. He was it's crazy to think that a Heisman winning wide receiver, top 10 overall pick is almost underrated in the NFL. But that's what Devonta Smith is right now.
He's crazy, man.
Okay, favorite play.
Favorite play. You're gonna go first. I'm gonna go first on all of them.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm sticking with my midseason one. There wasn't one after that I think deserved it. You could, I guess, go with the AJ Brown's second touchdown against the Titans, but I'm going to go with AJ Brown's third touchdown against the Steelers. I thought that play was that was the funnest game, AJ Brown game, and I'm going to stick with that.
Okay. I'm going to change mine, actually. I think I had Devontae Smith catch against Washington where he gets the wind knocked out of him right in front of the end zone. I'm going to change mine because I think it kind of if you could put the Eagles season in one play, I think that's my best bet for it, and that's when Eagles are down 14-0 in pouring rain against Jaguars in home field, and Jalen Hurts smashes into the end zone for the first touchdown, where he trucks a linebacker on his way in there.
It's like I forgot about that play.
I think it kind of tells the story of how, like, no matter how the game went or basically what the situation was, Jalen Hurts found a way to dig the Eagles out of whatever hole they dug themselves into, if they even were in a hole or if they just were up by multiple touchdowns, because he had the offense rolling. And for him, I mean, 14-1, the thing about him is just winning, carrying the team.
That's an interesting play. I forget that game almost kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Yep,
that was a good team win. Like they were down 14-0 in the pouring rain. They had to kind of change gears and run the ball a lot. So that's definitely a good one. Okay, who was the most underrated Philadelphia Eagle this year?
Most underrated. I think I kind of had a hard time about that, because they underrated by us or underrated by.
They kind of just went under the radar a little bit. Maybe it doesn't get too much love. I'll kick it off. I have Javon Hargrave here. I thought Javon Hargrave.
That's a good one.
I just don't think he got enough love from maybe like Eagles fans in the national media. Like he was a wrecking ball this year. 60 combined tackles, 11 sacks, 10 TFLs. Like he was awesome. 1 forced fumble, 2 passes defended. He even got his hands up sometimes. I thought Javon Hargrave was awesome this year, and he's gonna be a very hard guy to keep at free agency. I think he was really important to this team. Like I think he kind of maybe pushes, like Jordan Davis wasn't like I want to say disappointing because he got hurt and there was a lot of kind of variables behind him not playing. But I think Javon Hargrave playing well helped out the Jordan Davis draft pick, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Underrated, under the radar.
Brett Kern obviously is a good one.
I think I want to say from a national perspective, Hassan Reddick, but from more simply because of how well so many guys in the defensive line are doing, I think Josh Sweat is getting kind of overlooked, like how he got double-digit sacks this season, and also how much of a factor he has been in the running game. Like he's been such a complete offensive lineman. I was a linebacker this year. I think from an offensive perspective, I'd probably go Kenneth Gainwell, simply because when he's been in the game, when he's gotten his shot, I think he's made the most of it. He's like a few games where he's made some mistakes, but when they needed hard-nosed running and simply just following strictly in the rushing rules and in the rushing lanes, like he does that. He converts plays whenever he gets the chance on third down, second short. Doesn't really matter whether it's catching out the backfield in the limited capacity that he's been used there, or it's in pass blocking. I think Kenneth Gainwell has been more than serviceable for the workload he's been presented this season.
See, it's funny. I didn't know what to do with biggest disappointment, because that's our next category. I was gonna use Kenneth Gainwell and biggest disappointment because I had so much faith in the guy.
You also had extremely high expectations.
I've got a Kenneth Gainwell crush. I loved him coming out of college. I still think he can be a remarkable player in this league. I think he can even be the number 1 running back next year. Whole other conversation. But I think when I was taking a look at his stats earlier this morning, he was all of them were less than last year, if that makes sense. So in 2021, he had 291 yards rushing. In 2022, he had 240 yards rushing. In 2021, he had 253 yards receiving. In 2022, he had 169 yards receiving. So he fell off a little bit from his rookie year, but he still was very productive. So I had a hard time finding biggest disappointment. And it was more of a disappointment to Brendan Deeg more than a disappointment to the rest of the fan base.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So there wasn't much to go with. I guess I'm what did you have? I'm curious what your answer is here.
Of my biggest disappointment?
Yeah.
I think my biggest disappointment was with Britton Covey. Because I had super high expectations that the Eagles were gonna have an improved special teams unit, and I thought they were gonna have it. It's not necessarily Britton Covey himself. It can be a product of of poor block execution on kicks and punt returns. But it's just like the special team units has been so bad. So when I say Britton Covey, it's not Covey himself. Like it's not that he can have made like 10 guys miss. It's more because when you look at a return play, you're looking at the returner. And it's just not been there. It doesn't matter if it's been Devon Allen or like Boston Scott had one good game of returning, but then that was kind of it. I think Isaac Seumalo can probably also go a little bit into that category.
Yeah,
I
was thinking about Isaac for this one as well. He's gone, right? You don't think he's signing back?
No, he's not signing back.
I think he's gone too. Okay, yeah. MVP who is not an offensive playmaker or quarterback.
MVP who's not it, so we can't go with the receivers this one.
So receivers, running backs, tight ends, quarterback, all off the board.
Cornerback as well.
No, cornerback, you can't. Quarter.
Oh, quarterback. All right, got
quarterback,
you.
No tight end, no wide receiver, no running back.
James Bradbury.
Okay. That was an interesting one. I thought
he's the second best corner. He's the second best corner in the NFL by all statistical measures.
Yeah. I thought you were going to go with Hassan Reddick or an offensive lineman. You threw me off here. You didn't go Thomas.
Offensive lineman. I'm not going to go offensive lineman with that one. I mean, it's so much of a unit thing. But you can, of course, if you like Lane Johnson, I guess it would make sense because we just talked about how much it alters the offense, and I guess that kind of resembles like if not a most valuable player, I guess that would make sense actually. Now that I'm talking myself into putting Lane Johnson in this award here.
I thought this was going to be your Jason Kelce moment here, man. I thought was 100% you were going Jason Kelce here.
Yeah, I all the love for Jason Kelce. He's the best center in the league. He's first ballot Hall of Fame center. I'm just not sure that this may be a little bit hot take here, but I'm not sure the drop off from Jason Kelce to Cam Jurgens is as big as it is from Lane Johnson to Jack Driscoll. If you know what I mean.
No, that's definitely fair. That's not a hot take at all.
And I'm as much as I love watching Jason Kelce play and how much I want him to stay for another year. I mean, you always have that. Please stay for another year, and then they suck, and you're like, please go away. Then I'm excited to watch Cam Jurgens. I think he's going to be an exceptional football player.
I don't want Kelce to retire. I don't
want either. I want Cam Jurgens to take over Isaac Seumalo's guard spot. If not,
that's what I want, man. Like I'm down for that. I'm so down for 1 year of Cam Jurgens at right guard.
Just imagine the outside powers they'll be able to run with like Jason Kelce and Cam Jurgens like probably each other.
I need Kelce and Jurgens in together, moving in one direction and making blocks. I'm starting to think if the Eagles don't win a Super Bowl, Kelce's coming back, but that's a conversation for you.
Yeah, if they win the Super Bowl, he's not going.
He's not.
He's going. He's got to ride into the sunset with his second ring. He's got what he wanted.
No point of coming back if you win a Super Bowl. I'm gonna go with Hassan Reddick.
Makes sense.
It's unbelievable how good Hassan Reddick was this year, and just not talking about enough on social media. 16 sacks, tied for second in the NFL. What he did just down the stretch, man. Like from week 13 to week 18, Hassan Reddick had 8 sacks in a 6-week span.
The most important part of the season.
Yeah, like he was awesome. And just like look at just like if you go down this Pro Football Reference chart, it's unbelievable. Week 15 against the Bears, 2 sacks. Week 16 against the Cowboys, 2 sacks. Week 17 against the Saints, 2 sacks. Like he was all over the field. And he was good at getting outside on like attacking wide receivers on screens. Like the only thing he's not good at is stopping the run, and that's basically what's forcing him from not being in like this Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett conversation, because like those guys are really good at run stopping. But like just as a pure pass rusher, man, the value they got out of Hassan Reddick and where this team would be without him, like he was such a home run signing for this team. And it's funny,
like 5 games without a sack, and one of them is because Davis Webb had the intentional grounding.
Yeah, that's a good point. And like going back to like just from the offseason, like getting him for $15 million a year, it's like this guy's so valuable. I don't think Howie Roseman gets enough credit for like the big signings that he's made. Like he's pretty good at identifying like when he does make a splash in free agency, that splash like hits. Like Alshon Jeffrey is a good example. Brandon Brooks is another good example. Hassan Reddick now is another good example. Like when he goes out and makes a big free agent signing, that signing usually does come to fruition and actually do well.
True.
Okay, MVP of the team. I think we both know where this one's going.
Yeah, it's easy. It's Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Do you want to expand on that a little bit, or
no.
I don't think
we don't need to.
Jalen Hurts was the MVP of the team. Okay, this is a question I'm really excited for. Last one before we go. Rank this season for Eagles regular seasons of your entire life. Regular season.
Yeah, regular season. That's the one I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Can't include the playoffs.
It's definitely over 2017.
So would that be one then?
Yeah, I'm struggling to find, because I'm going back to the early years that I started watching. I'm not having very very vague memories of 11-year-old Thomas watching Eagles.
I think the 2004 season is probably
exactly, and I was 11 at that point. Yeah, so that's kind of
I remember
vague.
it a little bit, but I don't remember. I think I was 10 years old at 2004.
I wasn't emotionally invested in it in the same naturally. So yeah, I guess for me this will be one.
I think this is the best regular season of my lifetime for Philadelphia Eagles football, and I don't think it's like a hot take or anything.
No,
it's
been weirdly calm. You know what I mean? It's just, and again, not to this is going to be the Jalen Hurts love fest here, but it's just that guy and the strides that he's taken. And just everything about the professionalism, you just know that wins in a row wouldn't get to the head of the players in the team because they had a guy leading them in front. He's the guy who's, after they clinched the 1 seed, said the day after that his shoulder is hurting as fuck. I need to go watch film. I need to go with my head coach, my offensive coordinator. We're gonna watch film. Screw taking a bye week here because they got the 1 seed. We're gonna keep working. You just have this feeling that they're fine. They're gonna be they're going to be good. They're going to be well prepared to whatever they're going to face. They're going to be they're going to be in the right spot with that guy.
That was very well said.
That's a weird calming feeling that you don't usually have as Eagles fans. So you're the panic button is so easy to hit, and that's just not been the case this year.
That's where my argument kind of goes for this, because how many times were you really stressed this year watching Eagles games? I've watched some stressful Philadelphia Eagles games in my lifetime. This year, you can count
count on one hand.
Arizona in week 4 or week 5 was pretty stressful. Maybe at some point during that Jacksonville Jaguars game.
Yeah, first quarter Jaguars game, maybe, Cardinals game, down to the wire.
The Dallas game on Sunday night, a little bit, maybe in the third quarter when they were coming back, but still not very much. Houston in the first quarter, maybe. But again, not very much at all. The Indianapolis game, I think, is the one where you can kind of put on the plate where you say, okay, because Jalen Hurts had to go down and score a touchdown at the end. Okay, I'll give you that one. The Packers game, not really. I knew in my heart the Eagles were going to win that game the entire game. The Titans,
Washington lost game was also if they had everything go against them and they still were in it to the very end.
That was the most stressful game, in my opinion, was the Washington loss game. And that was one loss. Teams lose games, and you're not going to go undefeated. And then you can maybe look at the Chicago Bears game a little bit, maybe not even a lot there either. The Dallas Cowboys game
wasn't pretty,
but it was Gardner Minshew starting. So
naturally,
go down the list of this year. As Eagles fans, we were not stressed watching this team very much at all. This was a team that you knew when they hit the field. Sunday at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, Sunday night, whatever the fuck time the game started at, you knew in your heart that they are most likely going to win that football game. And I haven't felt that since 2017. I do think it trumps 2017 in that factor. So I think this is the best regular season of my lifetime. Now, having said that, they've got to, if you want to top the 2017 season, you got to win the damn Super Bowl. But as a regular season, I think that's the way to go.
Agree with everything you said.
All righty. Anything else you want to get off your chest, buddy? Anything else?
No, we got a lot of time. I mean, we got next week.
We got 10 days.
What are we doing? What are we going to do?
So we can find out. Hold on. Let me just look at the NFL playoff schedule really quickly here. I'm curious So we can find out. Okay, so the Seahawks and 49ers play Saturday at 4:30. So we could potentially know if the Eagles are playing who on after that game, right? Because if the Seahawks win, they're playing the Seahawks because they're the 7th seed. So you could potentially know their opponent until then. You might, and then after that, you won't know until Sunday at 4:30 when the Giants and Vikings play. If the Giants win that game, then the Eagles will play the Giants. So then you will know then. And then if not, it's going to come down to the winner of Dallas Tampa on Monday Night Football. The winner of that game, the Eagles play. So there's gonna be like every single day you have a chance to figure out who the Eagles are going to be playing in their matchup. So it's going to be a little bit of a stressful weekend for Eagles fans.
Yeah, it is. Can't wait to watch the 49ers play the Seahawks. I have a feeling it's going to be a wild game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to most of the Jaguars-Chargers game on Saturday night. I think that game's going to be wicked. I'm really looking forward to Dougie P in the playoffs. Really looking forward to Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Herbert. I'm giddy about
Bills Dolphins is kind of a bummer. I mean,
it sucks, and it's
Tua's not playing. You just kind of wonder, is that it for Tua? Like 3 concussions in a year, not ready for the playoffs. Like, what's that going to be? What's it going to look like?
And the Sunday night game is now the Bengals Ravens, and Lamar's not going to play.
Yeah, it's kind of a like every second game here is really, it's not really.
Saturday's the best day. I think the first 2 games on Saturday.
Yeah,
and of course Monday night, like the Cowboys Bucks. That's really cool. But okay,
go Bucks.
Do you want to give actually no? We don't need to do Super Bowl predictions or anything like that.
No. We'll take it. We'll take it a week at a time.
Eagles are fucking winning. Okay. Me and Thomas will be back at some point next week. We're going to do a preview of whoever the Eagles are playing. So make sure to tune into that. I have some cool guests lined up for next week. So make sure to check in the Double Drink Podcast. Sorry for a little bit of a break there again. Kind of ran some stuff during the holidays and whatnot. But we're back 2 to 3 episodes every week, basically up until the draft. I'm going to be heavy on this podcast up until the draft time. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and make sure to check out sponsors True Classic. Make sure to check out our sponsor BetterHelp. And we will talk to you later.